Today on the TMZ Podcast.
Welcome to the TMZ Podcast. Jamie and Brendan here. Brendan, whatever gag order Andy Cohen had over these Vanderpump kids seems to be done, because Tom went on Watch What Happens Live last night, and we got all the details. You got to listen to what he said.
When did you find out about the affair?
The one night stand.
Okay, the one night stand you found out about in August.
And then it became from my point of view, it became like an emotional affair, which is still inappropriate.
Okay.
But I didn't think it was a linear thing. But in January, Tom came to me and he told me that he's in love with Raquel.
He told you he was in love with her in January. Your reaction was?
I was flabbergasted.
Okay.
But I'm not surprised because listen, I think there's a lot of people out there who kind of know it was an open secret. It was an open secret.
What was an open secret?
Tom and Raquel, they were
really.
After that, Tom kind of got flagrant. By the way, just for the record, I'm being fed a narrative that he has broken up with Ariana or attempted to multiple times.
Okay.
Many, many times.
Okay.
Tell me your thoughts, feelings, emotions. Go.
I have so many. First of all, I think what I want to know right now is, are Tom Sandoval and Tom Schwartz still going to be friends after this interview? Because if I'm Tom Sandoval, the narrative that Tom Sandoval has kind of been running with in the press, or at least people around him have been putting out, is that they were on the rocks several months before we broke the news of the affair.
Yes.
But he's giving up a lot of stuff. The
way he's speaking, I'm assuming they're already not in a great place for their friendship.
I gather that they
Yes.
have not maybe spoken for several weeks. Also, Tom Sandoval's been very busy with Raquel.
Yes.
We've seen them out and about a lot. Yeah, I think that Tom Schwartz knows he has to be open and honest about this. This is his job. They're paying him. It's a part of his contract.
Well, not only that, it's his whole reputation on the show as being the nice guy.
Right.
Nice guy. And if he knew all of this, you better get it out now before someone else spins the narrative their way.
And I think so many people, Tom Schwartz was so under fire early on when all this came out, right? Because there were so many people that wanted to know, was he covering for Sandoval? And how long was he covering? The timeline is interesting because I had heard several weeks ago that Schwartz found out only 2 weeks before. So this is very different than what I had heard.
August. He admits on the show. August.
Correct.
That's when Sheena. So he said he found out about what he says was a one night stand between Sandoval and Raquel. Found out at the end of August. Well, Sheena got married at the end of August, and that's before anything blew up. So if you're watching Vanderpump Rules in real time right now, last night was one of the episodes of Sheena's wedding in Mexico, and you just look at it through a different lens now.
The whole thing is I am still shocked. And I thought it was a little weird when Schwartz said...
Well, he said he got flagrant and that it was not a very well-kept secret.
But my whole thing is, well, if people knew back in August, then why did it take this long?
I think if you're outside of a situation, you can see things better than when you're inside. So I don't think he was saying that, key cast members or friends of Ariana knew, but what he was saying, and now looking back at photos, we see so many photos. Raquel was at every concert, front row, no matter where it was, and talking about being best friends with Sandoval. And I think if you're more on the outside, your spidey senses go off.
What do you think about the narrative of, because I think it's weird that he's saying Tom Sandoval, because I had heard this too from sources, that Tom felt, in his world at least, that him and Ariana were on the outs. We have to remember, Ariana never wanted to get married to Sandoval. I think a lot of people always saw their relationship as they were roommates. They lived together. They bought this house together. Do you think there was any chance that maybe they were on the outs?
I don't care. That's my answer.
Not saying
I don't give
not saying...
No. This is not to you. This is to Tom Sandoval, my anger. I don't give a shit. I don't care if they hated each other. Unless they spoke and said, we are done. We are not in a romantic relationship anymore. They were committed partners. No, they did not have wedding rings and papers. But what does that mean? Guys are the first one to say, well, it doesn't mean anything. It's just a piece of paper. If you are living under the same roof as committed partners, there is no contract that says you have to have sex 10 times a month in order to then fulfill the obligations of a relationship. All he had to do was break up with her.
Right.
What was so gross is Schwartz said that he's addicted to Raquel, that Raquel is his heroine. then get rid of whoever's living under your house. Go play house with Raquel and live happily ever after. These are people's lives. This is 10 years of her life.
I do believe Schwartz in saying that he told Tom, like, you need to, like, break up with her then. Like, you need to go to her. And the whole excuse of, was it Tom Sandoval or someone said it, that Sandoval was going to do it, but then he got busy. Okay, you and your band need to
right.
Take a beat.
Yeah.
Go have the conversation. The band isn't more important, because he kept saying, oh, it was work. Work was getting in the way of him having this conversation.
No, he was lazy. But I also, like, Tom Schwartz told a lot of, like, heavy truths on the show. A lot. I know we're so quick, everyone, and it's a theme on the show that we're so quick to, like, let Schwartz off the hook for everything. What Schwartz admitted to knowing for a very long time is bad. If you knew that there was a hookup in August, and then that there were red flags going on, and then January you were told that he's in love with Raquel. This didn't break until March, and it broke accidentally. Nobody came out and finally came clean. So I think Tom Schwartz is still kind of a piece of shit for not being a better friend to all involved. I know that Sandoval is his best friend and business partner, but, like, come on. Come on.
Poor Ariana. I thought it was interesting how much he said last night, because it makes me wonder, like, they have to save something for the reunion. Obviously, we know the reunion filmed for 5 hours, so there's plenty of content there. But I thought it was interesting how, Andy obviously had to ask those questions, but I was kind of shocked at, like, some of the stuff he was getting. Like, wouldn't they save this for the reunion?
I hear you, but then it made me, that Andy's so darn smart, it made me so much more excited. Because if they Watch What Happens Live, they do 4 or 5 times a week.
Right.
And it's, I don't know how many viewers it gets, nothing like a reunion, I can imagine. But if they're giving us that on a Wednesday night, Watch What Happens Live, like, Imagine. I can't wait.
My theory is that it'll be a 3-part reunion, and then Andy, you saw he, like, teased that they're going to do, like, a whole separate, like, additional reunion
Barbara
on Peacock
Walters
or something.
sit-down.
And I'm like, gosh, that's amazing.
And my favorite is that they kept using the word eviscerate. They eviscerated Raquel and Tom Sandoval.
I think it's going to be so messy. And I'm still trying to figure out, I'm just dying to know who got in the physical fight. Or almost got in the physical fight.
I know.
That
I have
is what
my
I'm waiting
theories,
for.
but I think it's wrong. It's definitely not Raquel.
I am kind of wondering, because remember we had been told it wasn't Raquel, Ariana, or Sandoval.
It's got to be Lala.
I'm starting to think maybe it is Sandoval, and it's like Sandoval and James.
What is Sandoval going to do? Take off his hair extensions and like, oh, please. Not interested. Actually, very interested. I'll watch that. Oh, to be continued. I love that we were saying a month ago that there was no way we would survive until the reunion. Like, it's gonna, we're gonna
They're
get bored
feeding
of
us
it
every day.
Every day, and
Every
I'm
day.
starving. Give me more. Give me more Tommies.
They're all like, what I love about it is they're all just like loving having the paparazzi at their front door every day, and
I know.
They tease a little bit. They tease just enough.
Well, these people wanted to, when the whole show started, they were all want to be actors, singers, models, and like they finally got it. It was a slow burn. It took about 10 years, but hey, they got their fame, and I am here for it. I love it. Give me more. Another person.
Obsessed.
This is what a day. What a day. These are the days. Happy to be
Bravo
here at work.
is really keeping us busy
Bravo's
lately.
bringing it with the bad people because Jen Shah's back in the news. Tell me about what's going on with her in prison.
So one of our producers here spoke to her manager yesterday. And he said, it started off, the conversation was so funny because I was listening to the conversation with the producer, and he was like, yeah, she's glowing in prison. She looks amazing, this and that. I'm like, there has to be something more exciting. Like, what is Jen Shah doing in prison all day long?
For those of you who've forgotten, this is Jen Shah from the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. She is spending years in prison. In a nutshell, she basically tricked old people into getting their credit card numbers and taking their money on a phone call?
It's like a telemarketing
scheme. It all unfolded, and she got busted, and she is in prison. So, so apparently someone spoke to her manager.
Yep, someone spoke to her manager, and we're told that in her everyday life now, she's putting together this a play with the fellow inmates. So she's at this federal prison in Bryan, Texas, and she's putting together the Real Housewives of Bryan, and this is in honor of their prison camp. So
who are they married to?
I'm like, what? I mean, this is so big. I mean, like, is Todd Chrisley doing the same thing? And
yes, he is, actually, because it's so funny. We did a story on him. He's also thriving in his jail, Todd Chrisley.
I mean, listen, what else is she going to do in prison? I mean, there's going to be no camera, so we're not going to be able to see this. But I'm curious to know, like, what this actually, like, are they going to get up and perform and for the prison guards or something?
I mean, maybe. I've seen, they did plays in Orange is the New Black. Here's what I love best about this. First of all, she's been there for about 2 months now. Her manager says she's thriving. She's helping the women. My favorite detail about this is that the manager included that the show that she's working on is in the early stages. And I was like, oh, you mean it didn't go to network yet? The producers have not signed. Oh, okay.
It's like a variety announcement. It's in early planning stages.
Okay, great, perfect. I'm here for the casting. I'm very interested in that. I also love that the manager felt the need to include that she's lost 15 pounds.
When people go to prison, like these celebrities, like Joe Giudice, I mean, God, he came out and we were like, okay, he's a little bit unrecognizable.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, like with Jen Shah, like 15 pounds. I mean, she wasn't
15 pounds is just her hair extensions and her nails.
Right.
Brendan.
So I'm like
she had to remove them to be.
I'm dying. I would love to see Jen. No makeup, not done up. I mean, this is a woman that lived such a lavish life in front of the cameras. And now she's putting together this show in prison. I mean, can you imagine Jen Shah directing you? Like,
oh, and I'm here for it. I love it. It's she's got to run that prison. I mean, that's got to be the most exciting thing for those people who,
I want to know what the prison guards think about all of this. Hey, listen, I mean, as long as they're not causing problems, I'm sure they don't care.
I'm sure it's entertainment all day, every day. So, good for her. Something to do.
She's putting together this show and
I'm here for it. I wish we can get a camera in. So let's get Andy on that. I'm not sure if that's something. Speaking of also Todd Chrisley, so he is in there now for about 12 years. And what did he do exactly? Something with money.
His was like taxes. It was like it was another.
Pay your bills, babes. What's going on?
Teresa was taxes. They all have money problems, but they all make all this money on these reality shows.
Well, and they live very lavish lives.
Right.
So, but he is also, I just think it's funny we're hearing the glow up of all of the reality stars. We also heard from his daughter, Lindsay, saying that he's also thriving in prison. He also is making friends just like Jen Shah.
She said he's lost weight too.
He's lost weight.
That's one that I wouldn't mind seeing because I'm sure he wasn't fat going into prison, but I mean, he did have some extra pounds maybe.
It's the extra pounds of like somebody who lives lavishly.
So I'd love to. I think she said he also he's not obviously able to dye his hair anymore. So he has gray hair now in prison. So I'm like.
Well, what's also interesting with Jen and him, they've both been very honest about what they do, whether it's Botox or filler. You can't get any of that in prison. No. So the exit glow up is going to be interesting, borderline unrecognizable. I think filler goes away.
These prisons should start like every 6 months. They have to like provide the press with like photos of like here's an update of what they look like because everyone just dies to know like what do they look like and as they're going through this prison process. I don't know. I would love to see that. I mean, like I said, when Joe Giudice came out, I was like, whoa. When we first saw him. Get out of prison.
Remember Ja Rule got out of prison?
Unrecognizable.
When Ja Rule got out of prison, he was hot. He had like the best abs. I think he still does. He maintained it well. But yeah, so who knows? Maybe they'd come out looking even better.
I think Jen Shah losing 15 pounds, again, I guess it's her hair, like you said.
And the nails.
I think she's gonna be a very different person coming out. I mean, to me, this is like kind of like you're like, okay, they're doing a play in prison. But I mean it's kind of humbling.
I mean, she's got 6 years to work on the show.
Yeah.
So
plenty of time.
Plenty of time.
She can put it together, and when she comes out, she can start pitching it.
Boom. Love it. Well, that's all for us today. We will see you guys tomorrow.